back to part 2 or polishing a turd. So today we're going to do the install of the new pickguard. And what you have here is a fully loaded DGN pickguard. This is the whole kit. Comes with battery, stereo jack, and the loaded pickguard, all completely pre-wired. Done all the hard work for you. Switch is wired up, blaster's wired up to the 3-way, coil taps, and again a pair of DGN True PAF humbuckers, JGS in the middle, all ready to pop in your guitar to get epic tone. And if you did your job, it should fall into place just like this. And it's a perfect fit. The holes line up pretty much perfect for the most part. You know, everything's a little bit different. You know, we have our wires came through. All right, so that's good. And now let's just test fit this battery box, and we'll be on to soldering. These just need to feed through to the output jack area. Now you can pull those through. And then those will slide down into the channel. So the box doesn't get bound up. And there you go. We're going to leave this in place and just drill out the screws for that in a little bit, because we don't need to pop that back out again. All right, on to soldering. All right, so here we are at the electronics bench. We're gonna finish this up. We have 5 wires to solder. So we have the positive and negative from the battery box or your battery lead. We have the ground from the trem claw, so we can ground the bridge and everything. And then we have our output, which goes to the signal out of the jack, and we have our ground for the entire pickguard. So we're just going to do these connections quick now, and I'm not even going to speed it up. I'll do it in real time for you. I like to tin all the wires before I make these connections, kind of just make sure that the solders are secure. So we got that there to the back of the pot. You want to go quick with the soldering. You don't want to heat up the pots too much. I run my soldering iron hot and go quickly. I'm at about 750 degrees on the solder station. Now we're going to do the positive wire to the blaster board itself. And that gives us power. Again, we're going to tin this wire. All right, we're going to come around, and it's tough to see, but you know, the new board has eyelets, so it makes it much easier to solder these wires on. The old style was more of a breadboard style board, and it was a little more difficult. These are nice and easy. All right, so those 2 connections are done. So we're going to start feeding the signal and ground wires through the body and pull those up and out. Get this out of the way, and now we're ready to just get this pickguard down and in there. Again, beautiful fit. All right, and just push that positive wire down into the jack routing so it's out of the way. And now we have 3 wires that are going to the back of the stereo jack. Stereo jack is required because you have the tip, which is the signal out from the guitar. You have the ring, which actually connects to the sleeve when you plug in a guitar cable, and that turns the battery on and turns on the power to the blaster itself. The cool thing about this circuit is if the battery does die, the blaster is fully bypassed when you turn it off. So there's no issue with like, uh-oh, you know, my guitar won't work because the battery died, which is kind of a cool little feature. All right, so I'm going to pre-tin the solder tabs on the jack, because again, it makes everything go so much quicker when you do that. And I'm applying high heat very quickly so we're not burning up parts. And so what I do, because, you know, I can't remember anything from 1 minute to the next, I bend over, I put a little kink in the wire, and that's the ground wire. So I know that's ground, so I won't screw up which wire goes where after I've already pulled the pickguard through. So I'm just going to trim this back a little bit. We don't need a lot of wire in there. The ground is still over here. And we got our strippers. All right, so now we're going to attach the output wire first. And then we're going to do the battery ground, which goes to the ring terminal on the jack. And this is going to be tough to see. And I always like to look to make sure I'm doing the right thing here. Again, we're going to pre-tin these wires. So soldering goes super quick. Fast heat. There we go. And then we flip it over, and then this goes to the other side. And then the last step, we're going to trim down this ground wire, strip the end, tin it up, and get that soldered right into the middle there, which is the ground. Beautiful. Okay, so now basically I just kind of take these wires and push them around to the sides and up and back so they're not in the way of the function of this jack when you plug in a cable, because these are going to spread out a little bit and you don't want them to hit the wires and get in the way there. And we're just going to push this down and in, and there we go. So now we are basically ready to do a quick test, make sure everything works, and then I'll screw down the pickguard and we'll do a setup on it. All right, we're back over at the setup bench now. We're just going to give this a quick test. So I got my cable to my crappy little amp on the bench, and first let's just make sure we got everything wired correctly. Looking good. And also let's check for that blaster. Oop. And we're in good shape there too. Check the taps. Good. Very high-tech method of testing, but we are all set and we're ready to screw this thing back together and do a setup on it. So that's going to wrap it up for part 2 of my Polishing a Turd series. Follow along for the final part where we're going to string it up, set it up, and play test it and see what the end result is tonally. I feel like obviously it's going to be a pretty big improvement over the stock electronics. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.